We have all had that moment. That moment when our master plan is falling into place, our brilliant strategy about to bear the fruits of war. But then it happens. An enemy hits you with a 1% critical, or maybe you miss a 99% hit chance and die on the counterattack. Regardless of the method, your ambitions crash and burn in the madness of the random number generator. Probability has been a key component of Fire Emblem since the very beginning. It's woven into almost every single aspect of the game. Hit, critical, and growth rates have been in every game since the Famicom days. Even skills have been tied to RNG at many points in the series' history. But probability in Fire Emblem isn't as clear-cut as it seems. There are many game design questions raised by the implementation and presentation of said probability. Today, we go behind the scenes and take a look at the nature of Fire Emblem's RNG, and examine exactly how it influences gameplay and player psychology. Before we start looking too closely, I think it's a good idea to have a reference of what Fire Emblem looks like without any RNG systems. Luckily for us, Fire Emblem Heroes fits that bill perfectly. Other than the summoning gacha game element, Fire Emblem Heroes has no probability at all. There are no hit rates, no critical hits, not a single skill in the game operates off of a probability system. A unit's final stats are even predetermined before it levels up because there are no growth rates either. This is our starting point. Fire Emblem gameplay with no RNG. No matter how many times you repeat the same battle, the result will be the same. Now extend these battles over the course of a map, and the end result is that every level has at least one true solution. A solution where you can go through a set of steps with a certain set of characters and emerge victorious every single time. Now, I've compared Fire Emblem to puzzle games of the past, but Heroes is where the comparison truly hits home. If you were to standardize Heroes and give every single player the same uniform set of units with identical stats, it will look eerily close to a grid-based puzzle game. This is the magnitude of probability's role in Fire Emblem. A lack of RNG arguably transforms the very genre in which the series sits. We need to rewind to 1990 to Fire Emblem on the Famicom to see the next step up from an RNG-less Fire Emblem. There are three main systems in the original game that rely on random number generation: hit rates, critical rates, and growth rates, the most crucial of which is the hit rate. Let's say Unit A attacks Unit B. Unit A has 15 skill and a weapon with a hit rate of 80 for a total accuracy of 95. However, Unit B has an avoidance stat of 20. Unit B's avoidance is subtracted from Unit A's accuracy, and bada boom bada bing, we have a hit rate of 75. The game then generates a number between 0 and 100, and if it is less than the hit rate, the attack lands. The main takeaway from this is that hit rates add the possibility of missing. There is no guarantee your attack will land unless your hit rate is above 100. The game no longer is about finding the one solution. It is about weighing options and making choices on how to complete the mission. To visualize this, let's compare the RNG system to Fire Emblem Heroes. Both me and you have an identical set of units, and we make the exact same moves. In Fire Emblem Heroes, we would both get the same result every single time, but add in RNG, and getting the same result just becomes one of many outcomes. Now add in crit rates and growth rates. Even if we make the exact same moves, the number of possibilities has now expanded exponentially. At some point, we may not even be able to make the same move because the situation in our maps are so different. This is the nature of RNG in Fire Emblem. It diversifies a process of calculations into a game of constant, meaningful decisions. We're not done here yet, guys. The RNG goes another level deeper. Chances are, if you've been watching this video, you've played a modern Fire Emblem game before, one that has been released outside of Japan, And you see that hit rate right there? That's a lie. That's right. The game has been deceiving you about hit rates all along. Remember how I mentioned the process the game goes through when deciding if a move hits, how the number generated must be less than the hit rate? Well, that much is still true, but in almost every game from Fire Emblem 6 onward, instead of using one random number, it uses the average of two random numbers to compare to the hit rate, and the effect this has on the probability is pretty drastic. As you can see on this graph, rather than a neat diagonal line, it curves downward as the line approaches 0 and upwards as it approaches 100. This means that hit rates above 50 are actually higher than displayed, and hit rates below 50 are lower than shown. For example, let's say the game displays a 20% chance of hitting an enemy. In the classic Famicom and Super Famicom games, the rate displayed is the actual chance of hitting the enemy. But in a game such as Fire Emblem 7, well, it may tell you 20, but the actual chance of that attack landing is 8.2%. But why? Why lie to the player? It's pretty simple. Our perception of probability as humans is totally out of whack. I'm going to reference a GDC talk by the legendary Sid Meier. Him and his team at Firaxis were testing battle systems for Civilization Revolution and found that players expected to win battles almost every time when the odds were 3-1, 75% respectively, and 4-1, 80%. So him and his team decided to change their battle calculations to better reflect the player's expectation of probability. With double number generation, Intelligent Systems is attempting to satisfy that same subconscious itch of players. Think of what goes through your mind when you see an 80% hit chance in Fire Emblem. Sure hit, right? Well, I challenge you to go and play the older games with those same expectations and see if they hold up. Double number RNG adds a really nice psychological coding to Fire Emblem that keeps players more content with the events unfolding on screen, even if that means lying to them. Although they may be frustrating, random number generation and probability systems are a fundamental cornerstone of the Fire Emblem experience. Their presence are a key aspect of what keeps the games diverse and interesting. Every time you play, something unexpected or interesting is bound to happen. And for as many stories you have of 1% crits or 99% misses, you probably have just as many stories, if not more, of when you beat the odds. About when a skill triggered at just the right moment. About when you risked your whole chapter on a 30% hit, or maybe when you hit that fated 1% crit yourself. So much life, so many stories, and so many memories are infused into these games as a result of these systems. Thanks for watching.